So we're here to come down to Glencar construction site this morning to Riverside Business Park, where they recently installed a 14-pot claro, and we've come to commission it, make sure it's all installed properly and turn it on and set it into action. So the first thing we're just going to do is we're going to work our way through our commissioning form. And the first thing is to carry out a visual inspection of all the components to make sure that things are installed properly. Here we've actually got one of the Graf external cabinets, but because they required on site a cabinet for other electrical installations, they've chosen to fit the cabinet inside a larger external enclosure, which is no problem with. The important thing to bear in mind if you are doing something like that is that we do have various ventilation grills on the cabinet, and so if we're then enclosing it, we need to make sure that we've still got the correct ventilation. So where we've got ventilation grills here, they've also got a low level vent on their cabinet. We then have a high level vent, and they have also got a high level vent. So as you can see, we've got our control panel, our compressor, and then our step motor valves, and then our 4 colour-coded air hoses, which head on down to the treatment tank. So what we'll do is we'll move over to the tank and make sure that everything is connected as it should be inside the tank. One thing we've noticed with the installation is that our flexible duct here, which has the air hoses that head out to the tank, what is important is that this is sealed so that we don't have any gases coming from the wastewater tank up into the cabinet. They can start corroding components on the control panel. So what Graf supply is they basically supply this foam bung. What you'll see is that we've got the holes for the air hoses, and they're just sort of sealed over, but you can just poke the air hoses through, and that will then push down and seal the duct so that it can't vent towards the cabinet. So I'm just going to install that now. Now that we've carried out a visual inspection that everything's connected up as we expect it to be, what we're now going to do is turn the controller on for the first time. What we'll see, having turned it on, is the system's now booting up, and what we should see is it will go into alarm. So we've got a red light up here, and then it's gone into alarm saying that we need to set the clock. So the first thing we can do is press escape, and then by pressing the set button we can scroll through to the date and time, and this is where we now enter the date and time. So we press set and it asks us to enter the time, and so we go 09:25 and then press set, and then it'll ask us to enter the date. So we'll go 22:01, and then we are then the last 2 digits of the year, so 21, and then press set. Now having set that, that's now stored it, and you can see that as well as the date and the time, we've also got the first 2 initials for Friday. We can now press escape, and the system is now in cycle pause mode, which means that it's counting down until the next available treatment cycle start time, but we'll explain that later. Okay, so using the Graf commissioning form, we're now just going to run through the checks that we carry out. So we start off by noting down the serial number of the cabinet. Now you'll notice with any of the treatment systems, they have a sort of like an information data plate here, and what we're looking for the serial number is the serial number of the cabinet. So we would put the 20310021 into this box here. The next thing it asks us is whether we've got an internal or an external controller. Now that is making reference to the cabinet. So actually this is external cabinet. So we just tick yes for the external cabinet there. The next check is the visual inspection of the underground tank, and that's installed as per the instructions. So we're simply looking to make sure that they've connected the incoming waste to the correct point on the tank, the outlet pipe, and made sure that all of the air hoses are connected, that there's no kinks in them, and then also that the water level within the tank is as it should be. We'd expect to find the tank full of water when we come to commission it, because they should be filling the tank as part of the installation process. And then with a full tank, it then enables us to manually run each of the valves and fully test the system when we're commissioning it. The next reference here is the air hoses installed as per instructions. So within the tank, yes, we're looking that they're connected to the correct color-coded components. And then on the cabinet, we've actually got color-coded hose tail connections here on the underside of the valves. So it's simply a case of connecting the red air hose to the red connection hose tail. And then we just want to make sure when we run the valves that these are completely airtight and there's no loss of air through the connection there. With regards to the controller and compressor installation, it's referring to making sure that the cabinet is installed in the correct environment. Obviously we have both an internal and an external cabinet. So an internal cabinet would need to be protected from the elements, rain, sun as well. Ideally that we don't want the cabinet in direct sunlight. With regards to carbon dosing, we haven't got carbon dosing on this system, so we'd simply put no. And in some cases we have a pumped outlet option on the treatment system. And on this system, this is purely using the air lifts. So again, we tick no. So we then move on to our system tests. The first thing is obviously turn on the power to the control panel. We then set the date and time. We can then go into manual operation and carry out the valve tests. If we had dosing, we would then test the dosing. If we had a pumped outlet, we would test the outlet. And then, having carried out those tests, we simply press escape on the control panel. We then get a green light, and this is now in automatic mode and counting down to start the treatment process. Final stage, important stage, is to inform the owner or whoever's going to be responsible for looking after the system on how it works, the key things that they need to look out for, so that they can recognise if there is a fault, what that fault is and what they need to do to rectify it.